St. Patrick's Day. I hope you're wearing green. Wendy, you have a green background, so you're good to go. And welcome. We're going to start with the consistent phrase of the disclaimer. We all know that one. That this is a reminder to council members to declare any conflict of interest with any agenda item and according to our bylaws. So as you look at the agenda, does anyone feel that they have a conflict of interest? No conflicts. This is wonderful. Oh, thank you, Tori. Again, without my printer, I'm sort of stuck. All right. With that, well, let's do introductions. I would like to start with the council members, please. And we have a lot of visitors, which is great. So council members, if you could please introduce yourselves. And Sue, I'm going to start with you because I can see you, and just give a little bit of your background and so people understand what you bring to the council.
Well, I think I heard you say Sue. So this is Sue Smith. I am retired and I worked in credit unions for 36 years. I am a trustee-elect with the hopefully successful Bitterroot Valley Community College. And I'm retired and now I volunteer.
Excellent. Thank you. And Terry. Terry. Okay. How about Elida while we wait for Terry?
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. My name is Elida Merritt. I'm a registered nurse. I'm the manager of quality and infection prevention at Marcus Daly Hospital. I am just coming up on 3 years with the Bitterroot College Advisory Council.
Yes, and we'll talk about that very sorrowfully later. Okay, next, how about Rosalie? Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rosalie, and I'm a student representative for the Bitterroot College Advisory Council.
Great, welcome. And India.
Hello, I'm India Height. I am also a student representative on the Bitterroot College Advisory Council. Some more information, I'm a history major with a minor in anthropology, and I'm going for my public history certificate, which is new.
Ooh, we'll have to hear more about that. Say the name of it again.
The new public history certificate.
Cool. All right. Later on, let's ask you about what that entails. Okay, Rosalie, India, and Terry, are you there yet?
I show that he's muted.
Oh, Terry, can you unmute?
Ask to unmute. I just asked him to. Terry. Thought I heard maybe him talking, but it was somebody else up there.
Okay.
There's somebody that's on the phone. Oh.
It says Zoom not responding, so I've lost everything. I want to get John again.
Just come sit with me. Well, if you don't, you
No,
mind?
that's fine. Let me get my stuff.
Okay. Terry's just going to come sit with me.
Okay, great. What other council members do we have with us? Let's see. Sue, Elida, India. John, are you with us? You show you're muted.
Yes, good morning. How are you? I'm John Cohn, Superintendent at Corvallis School District.
Great, welcome. Good to see you. And then other council members, once Terry comes back, we will have introductions of our guests. Oops. I wonder if John is with Terry.
No, he's not.
Okay,
I haven't seen John Grant here.
yeah, he said he'd come a bit later.
Okay.
All right, so we do have a quorum, so we can make some decisions here. All right, while we wait for Terry, let's introduce our guests. Wendy, do you want to start?
Sure. I am Wendy Fons, Executive Director for Valley Oak Education Resource Center that helps students across Montana get college and career pathways navigated.
Great, welcome. And then once again, my screen isn't showing everyone, so can I have, oh, I'm so sorry, you guys, this kind of goes. Katie Goldsberry.
Hi there, I'm Katie Goldsberry. I am the Family and Community Engagement Manager at River Valley Head Start, Inc.
Great, and how are your new headquarters?
Wonderful.
Great, that's
Really,
good.
really good.
Good, wonderful. Michelle, are you with us, McConaughey?
Good morning. I am. I'm in a weird configuration, so I hope you can hear me. I'm talking through my phone and watching through my computer and doing what it takes here.
Great. Can you share with the newspaper?
I am with the River Valley Republic, and I'm actually celebrating St. Patrick's Day today, and in 2 days, my 8th year at the River Valley Republic.
Wow. Oh, that's great. Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
All right. And Stephen Coop.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Steve Coop with Reach Higher Montana, based here in Western Montana, right out of Hamilton. I do have an office in the college. I just haven't been at it in the last year. And Reach Higher Montana is a nonprofit organization here in the state that serves high school students and college students in their career, college exploration, and pathways to include scholarships. Anything we can do to help students make the best decision and be successful once they enter the doors of the colleges.
Excellent, excellent. Welcome. Good to see you. And thanks for your work. Okay, am I missing any other non-member participant? I don't think so. So Terry, can we go back to Terry Burkhouse? Can we go back to you and say who you are and all that?
I'm Terry Burkhouse. I worked for the University of Montana in Missoula for 31 years. I have filled in down here a little bit. I've been on the council for a number of years and live in Corvallis.
Excellent. All right. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. And with that, we will ask for any public comment attending, any comment on the agenda. All right, hearing none, we're going to move forward. Our last meeting in February, I was unable to attend, and so the minutes are auditory and they're posted on the BC website. So I don't know that there's a real approval process because what was said is what was recorded. So I think with that, we'll just document that the minutes are auditory this month. And next month we will have written comments to respond to and approve. So with that, is there any public comment on the quote unquote notes of the last meeting? Hearing none, we will move forward with, whoops, I lost my agenda again. Here we go. Sorry about this. I'm in a technological cloud here. Okay, with that, Tori got us the director's report, And what we do at this time is either comment on the elements of that report and or ask questions. So council members, do you have any questions or comments on the director's report for March?
This is Elida. I had a question about the partnership with Missoula College and the Job Ready Information Technology Cybersecurity Certificate. How many online modules are there for that? Is there what's the cost for it? Do people just need to check in at the college to get more information? I'm asking, I'm asking on behalf of a friend. So.
Nice.
You're moonlighting in IT now, Elida? Is this what you're doing? You know, the kind of the whole package and what that's going to look like is still unknown, and so I actually can't speak to any detail on it except that my understanding from the get-go on this one was that it would be a 1 semester or less sort of certification. And so, and that it was that they were shooting for online modules and, you know, online access and that sort of thing. But it's being designed by a consortium of IT faculty from Missoula College. Ooh, I don't think it's Helena or Great Falls. Maybe it's Flathead. A couple, there's whatever 2 other colleges that are involved in that instructional design besides Missoula College, which is taking the lead, and they haven't announced anything yet. But I assume that they will announce something by April, because I know they have to have all their money spent by June. At least their design money. Well, actually, all their money all the money for the GEAR grant, the federal COVID money that we got for program startup has to be spent by June. But most of the programs actually won't roll out until June, July, or August. And even like our LPN isn't rolling out until next spring. So there's a little delay on the rollout, but nonetheless. So Elida, I can't speak to anything, but as soon as we have something, I can make sure that you know and that the rest of the council knows.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Other council member questions on the director's report? I just had a quick question about with the LPN program and the infrastructure that's being built, which is great. It displaced the art. Where did they go?
So we just moved art to room 117. So it's on the same side of the building, because that building all has water fountains, or not water fountains, has sinks and plumbing in those classrooms. And so, and then 117 is currently just set up as a small lecture room. And we think that we can accommodate that lost space in the new healthcare room, because the new healthcare room will also be a lecture space. And so when healthcare isn't in there, it can double for that. So we just kind of move things around. But the reason that we just didn't put, the reason that we made the art room into this kind of healthcare suite is because it has it's a regular size classroom, like all our other classrooms, except that it has an opening to half of another classroom. And so we're seeing that other half classroom as where we'll put the beds and have all the supplies, and kind of more practice can take place. Whereas in the main room, that's where the lecture and that sort of thing can happen. And the problem, quote unquote, the problem with that space, which we acquired last year when we lost early head start, which we liked having you guys as neighbors, but I confess we love having your space. And you probably love your new space. But at any rate, when early head start left, we didn't have any data in those rooms because wasn't part of our original build out. And so it was kind of tricky to use those classrooms or the gained classroom space for instruction because we didn't have any wireless or data drops. But now with some of this money, we can extend to those rooms. So that was really exciting. And actually, you know, I wasn't even thinking about that. And Hannah was looking at the money and she's like, why don't we put data in that room? And I was like, brilliant. And so then we kind of, whatever, the whole thing kind of snowballed because Hannah had a great idea. So it's, I think it should be exciting just to have that room kind of outfitted and secured with all the healthcare supplies. Because not only do we have, you know, new supplies that we're getting, we actually have a lot of existing supplies from our healthcare programs, and they're a little bit scattered because of the security issue. And so now we'll be able to have them all in one place and have them secure and et cetera. So it's exciting. Yeah.
You know, the other question, it didn't displace faculty offices, did it?
No,
Okay.
the other half classroom, which was which we inherited from early Head Start, we were using for faculty space, and so faculty space is still there. They're going to benefit from getting a couple of data drops into their area as well, where again we didn't have good wireless there and we had no hardwire, but so we can also extend using this money into that area, so they'll get a little improvement as well.
Good. Oh, that's great. That's great. All right.
So we'll
the
still have Dr. Eric Gren there with his snakes. If anyone doesn't know, we now have a permit to have wildlife in the building, and we have snakes. And Dr. Eric Gren performs snake surgery and inserts chips into snakes and lets them go and tracks them in the wild.
Wonderful.
So
Oh, that's wonderful.
It is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So it always gives the new custodian a little bit of an alarm when they go back there, like, oh, whoa.
That's
there
great.
are sometimes rattlesnakes, but at any rate.
Yeah.
That was just a little aside.
Okay. Well, we moved into the snake territory. They didn't move into ours. So great.
Good point. Good point.
Tori, I just had one other question. Do you see any other continuing fallout from the registration management system glitch?
You know, I'm sure the UM was just couldn't believe this happened. And the administration is probably disappointed in that, but you know, in general, I don't really think it impacts students too much in the sense of most of our students tend to not be ready to register for classes at the end of February. They're just not in that mindset. They haven't really gotten enough through the semester to know whether, you know, are they going to pass the class that they're in right now. So on our end, it wasn't really a huge switch or a huge problem.
Okay, good.
Add to the student perspective there, me and most other students I know tend to, registration gets put later than it should, so.
I know, yeah, exactly.
You mean, India, do you mean registration gets put later, just calendar-wise?
Just calendar-wise, yeah. When you're in the middle of the semester, you're typically like worried about your homework and you're just thinking about this semester, let alone like, oh, I'm supposed to register for fall. And we all typically, I know it's a bad trend, but tend to leave it until later, so.
Yeah.
In this case, it's reassuring, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough. Timing is everything. Wow. Okay, other council member comments and/or questions on the March director's report and the student attendance data, participation data. Any questions?
So I had a question about the budget in terms of fall classes, and probably we'll have to have some classes canceled. Do you have any sense of what that's really going to mean? And do you think it's even going to get worse than you think now?
So sorry. First of all, Terry, I took my mask off. I was spacing on that. You guys can hear us with our masks on, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard different rumors from the UM on the budget situation, and actually the latest was kind of a positive rumor, is that, which actually is, I'm glad, I was hoping that this would happen, is that there's quite a bit of federal COVID money in the latest stimulus bill, and a lot of it, well, not a lot of it, but there is a portion that can be used to help bail out public and nonprofit institutions that have really struggled with enrollment and other things in the last year. And so UM is going to be able to take advantage of that, is what I've heard. So this is really great. And I mean, I'm sure many colleges, and UM included, and us included, have had enrollment management problems and have certainly not made always the best, kind of business decisions. But nonetheless, so do we deserve bailout money? But I do think COVID did hit colleges really hard, and even the best run institutions have had struggles, and so I think this is well spent to bail out a unit like the University of Montana, and I'm glad it looks like they're going to receive funding. So there was some kind of rumor that we maybe wouldn't really experience any departmental cuts, but then there was some talk that, and actually maybe I should reframe it. It's not really bailout money, but it is cover your expenses money. I guess it is kind of bailout money. I mean, I know that no one in the press is going to call it bailout money, and so I should be careful how I word that, especially if Michelle is on. So don't use that word bailout. But
Tori, maybe we should use the term, because it is recovery money.
Yes, exactly. That's better said. At any rate, and it is still at the rumor level, but at any rate, the UM may be getting some recovery money that will help all of us next year, and maybe we won't be experiencing some severe cuts that we were anticipating. That being said, we were already cut last year, and we were kind of just treading water this year, and depending on what happens at the legislature and the community college effort, again, that will impact how we decide to handle our deficit that is continuing from last year. So we did some things this year to deal with our deficit. We negotiated we negotiated with the school district to cut down our utility expenses. We went after, Dixie Stark went after some grants or Literacy Bitterroot went after some grants on behalf of the college, and then some staff took some pay cuts. And so, and that's where we are just with the budget that we got last year. And so what will that mean this year? I mean, I don't think we're going to get new money. So depending on whether we become a community college or not, we can either decide to negotiate some of those same things, or try to really right size with our new budget and look at some cuts. In terms of the classes, just our college classes, yeah, I definitely have kind of already overspent the college budget with the 34 classes that we've put out there. And I guess, but I usually do that. We usually put out more classes than we can afford, because we usually can lose a few just due to enrollment. It's kind of nice just to give students the decision on what we cut rather than us kind of preempting it. Mm-hmm. So, though, if everything were to fill, if we were that fortunate, again, and if we were become a community college, we might look for some outside funding to help support you know, all the classes. So I would just say, Terry, that it's in flux, though it's actually in a little bit better position, at least in terms of holding, than we thought even a month ago. So so that's good news.
Yeah, that is good news. Did everyone see Kent Barbian's comment about letting students know in a timely fashion? Kent, can you introduce yourself and then maybe restate your comment?
Yeah, my name is Kent Barbian. My comment, I guess, is just on that report where if certain sections need to be canceled and it says at the end that those decisions will be likely made in June and July, shouldn't those be made as soon as possible to at least let the students know if they need to rearrange their schedules? And I guess as soon as you would know what those sections are that are going to be canceled.
Yeah.
It's a great comment, Ken, or Kent, and yes, you know, we do try to make those decisions as soon as it's kind of clear. A couple things we tend to be up against is that many of our students tend to register late, and so we hate to make a call and cancel something before we actually really need to. But we do stay on top of classes that we try to, at least, that have low enrollment, maybe only 1, 3, 4, 5 students, and we let the students know that the course could be canceled due to low enrollment. So we kind of, you know, let the student know so they can hedge it and decide, well, do they want to hang in there? Do they want to keep that class and maybe book a second class knowing that they're going to drop one of them? But it is a little bit of a I can't say it's always managed the best way, but it's a good reminder for you to say that out loud, and for us to kind of remember and be you know, really cognizant of the student making these decisions as well. Yeah, because it can really throw a wrench into your, you know, you line up your whole schedule, your work schedule around something, and then a week before classes start, we're like, oh, we're not going to run that. Yeah, that's not a good way to run it. And I appreciate you saying that.
Tori, can we assume that depending on the content nature of a course, that the thresholds might be different, or is it a uniform threshold?
Oh, it's definitely an individual case-by-case decision. You know, sometimes we'll run a class with even like, I mean, I don't like to do it, but with three or four students, I mean, I know like in the fall, we ran some very low enrollment classes, and it was very much because I just didn't want to cancel them at the last minute. And so I just felt like the students having to make a new decision at this point, it was too close. And then sometimes we run a class with low enrollment because we know it was in a certain sequence for a student, and that, you know, even if we only have 4 or 5 students, we'll still run it because those students, otherwise they're a year waiting for it, and that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have a class that might have as many as 8 or 9, but we do make a decision to cancel it because we know it's also offered online. And we can, you know, so it is very individualized.
Okay.
Course decision.
Okay, that's really important for people to understand, I think. Okay. Other council member questions or comments on the director's report? Hearing none. Any public comment and/or question on the director's report? Hearing none. Kent, can you really quickly tell us who you are, and welcome?
My name is Kent Barbian. I live in Hamilton. I work at Rocky Mountain Laboratories, and I will say I'm interested in hearing how the Bitterroot College plans to try to get funding, since I know the people voted that they want it, but they voted not to fund it. And to me, that's kind of a contradiction in I want a lot of things too, but you can't have it if you can't afford it. So to be honest, I'm not sure if I would support the community college. I think a lot of things can be taken online now or gone up to the U of M. I think there's a lot of money spent on the community college that could be better spent. I'm sorry, that's just kind of the way I feel. India made a comment about registration for classes and students not knowing to register for classes and wanted a lot later. I guess that's the process of what U of M has set up for registration is if you're going for school, you ought to register when U of M wants you to register. It's just part of growing up and planning that into your schedules, things like that. So sorry, that's just where I'm kind of listening in and hearing COVID monies going to things like this. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know if I support all those things.
All right. Well,
just listening in, and thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you. And welcome to the meeting.
Thank you.
All right. With that, if there is no further public comment on the director's report, we're going to move on to council updates. And the first item is the Bitterroot Task Force update. And Tori, I'll give it the glossy overview and you can share more detail. What we are updating you about is that a couple months ago, at the really nudging of the Bitterroot College, we nudged the interim provost for the University of Montana to assure us and commit to us that the Bitterroot College will be supported in the transition and continuing relationship with the university if we do not become an independent community college. And if we do become an independent community college, that the university will again sustain and commit through that probable 2-year process. So to that end, there are approximately 7 members of a task force. Tori and I represent the BC specifically. And then we have the assistant commissioner through OCHI is a member. And then there are 3 UM members of this task force. And the process thus far has been to articulate the things that we want to keep, the things that we'd like to see changed, and sort of a vision for the future. And so we've gone through a process of collecting everyone's feedback on those elements. And actually we're synthesizing that together to reduce duplication, that kind of thing. And we have our meeting to follow up on that specific activity tomorrow. So I believe that with our April meeting, we will have, I hope, pretty substantial update for the council on that commitment and what it will look like. I have to say, as I look at the items people have submitted, we're pretty much in agreement about a lot of things. And so with that, the intent of the interim provost has been to have some closure and decision by May. Interestingly enough, what the Bitterroot Valley Community College Initiative process is right now is, I think you all know, it's going through the legislative hearing process. And 2 days ago, the Senate Education Committee voted unanimously to support and organize the college, which means that the 7 elected trustees can be seated. And that's an important feature because right now the trustees are working on good faith. They're volunteers. They have no official position and or authority. But if this moves positively through the legislative process, they will become seated, which means they can officially start to work and that we're viewing as a process of importantly communicating with our community about the positive impact that a community college could bring, and communicating about costs, Kent responding to your concerns, so that they have then about a 2-year window through which to work on those kinds of information pieces. So Tori, that's my kind of global overview. Can you add some detail? Oops.
There we go, just unmuting.
Go ahead.
Terry just has a comment.
So Candy, related to what you just discussed, and then back to Kent's comments. Kent, for years, even before I became involved in Bitterroot College, I've lived in Ravalli County, and I have to say, early on, I had some of your concerns, wondering, is there a need for a college and the money being spent down here when Missoula was only 47 miles away. But I can tell you that, especially when I filled in down here as a student advisor and started working with students last year, I was here for working almost a year, maybe, part-time and temporary, and hearing students say that they just were not in a situation, whether it was money, family, job, whatever, to drive to Missoula, or that they just really did not do well in online classes. So many of our students would tell me that if it weren't for being able to take classes here, they just would not be in college. So that's just my take on, yeah, we may only serve a small number of students, but the ones we serve, I think we're doing them a great service. And I would not have known that and without sitting down and talking individually with students and hearing their stories.
That goes for me, Terry, too. Thanks for saying that. If it hadn't been located here, I never would have pursued a higher education at all.
Yes, I'm also one of those students that relied heavily on Bitterroot College being here.
Mm-hmm. All right. Tori, any quick update about either the task force, which we started with, and then into the community college initiative?
No, I mean, I would just say that you summarized the task force well. I mean, I think our next thing is, oh my gosh, hang on. Jennifer, I just submitted you.
Oh.
I just don't see, like once the meeting's going, I just submitted her, sorry. So Jennifer Johnson's gonna be joining us in a minute. Probably frustrated. I thought you did a nice job summarizing. I mean, it just, depending on the direction the legislature takes, just really depends on the direction of the task force. I know we've, put together this top 10 list. I think we sent it out to the council a week or so ago. This is going to be discussed. I think the meeting is tomorrow. Our
yes.
Council meeting, or I mean our task force meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's it's a good thing because hopefully it shows good faith effort on the University of Montana and OCHI that they want some sort of presence in the Bitterroot, even if the community college doesn't go through the legislature.
Right.
I do fear that they don't really understand what it takes to do anything here, and that will be an interesting discussion if it has to get to that point, if the community college isn't created, mm-hmm. and what it actually takes to provide services. But that's another discussion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's take public comment or questions by topic area in the council and director topic. So does our public attending have any questions and or comments on the task force? And then so I can record that piece. So questions or comments from folks?
So Candy, this is Wendy.
Yes.
Question with regards to the task force and what is going on now. Did you ever receive anything from Kirk Lacey during the last task force on the similar topic? He just left for Arizona, so.
Yeah. And he frankly was the facilitator for the process until he left. And so I think he brought good contextual information from having worked across the state with all the two-year programs. And so it's too bad we lost him. But truly, Nathan Lindsay has now picked up the facilitation of the task force. And I feel like he has good background knowledge from Kirk. And because he's on our council, I think he has a very meaningful, and you just joined us, Nathan. I think, Nathan, you have a very meaningful understanding of what the Bitterroot College is trying to achieve. So yeah, Wendy, I feel like we got good information from Kirk, and I feel like obviously Nathan has been totally involved with that process. So any other questions from our public about the task force and or related topics? All right. Well, welcome, Nathan. Your timing is just pristine. Because we're going to, on the agenda, that's where we are with regard to updates, and my phone keeps taking my agenda away, but here we are. So exactly, we are at that point of Nathan, you sharing updates from Mountain Campus and kind of globally within the UM family.
Thanks, Candy. Good to see everyone. Sorry I'm running late to this. We're trying to plan summer. So I was in a summer planning meeting. We have all of our priority registration starting on Monday, and hoping to have a good summer enrollment. We've gone up as a campus university the last 3 years, so hope to see that streak continue. In terms of campus updates, we just yesterday had the Chief Academic Officer call, and on that, Ochi shared the requirement, or I guess a request, that we have our academic planning and priority statements. We did this for the first time last year, where it's kind of putting on other institutions' radar what programs we're planning on for the coming year, so that any duplication can be discussed or any concerns. So, excuse me, the deadline for that is May 28th. Tori, Tori, are you on that email? Did you receive that from Ochi?
No, though Lee Guthrie does go to those meetings, but I don't know if I received that that email or not. We tend to not, since we don't really have any programs. College, you know, we only have the AA. It's not something that affects us.
Okay. And also just had the request that we update our American Indian and Minority Achievement Council plans. So those efforts have kind of been subsumed at UM by the President's Native American Advisory Council, which is continuing to enhance opportunities for Native American students on campus. It is pretty happy that our Native American um, population on campus of students has increased this last year. Brad Hall, I don't know if any of you work with Brad Hall. He's our tribal relations specialist. But I think he and others are doing a good job of connecting with tribal colleges and communities, reservations in the state. So I think if there are we have really good programming related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and hopefully, Tori, faculty and staff at Bitterroot College are able to take advantage of those sometimes. I think more and more of those are being done virtually. In the past, it's been an issue to drive up to Missoula, but I think with COVID, they've really shifted with a lot of virtual meetings. So I think those are great things to take advantage of.
Excellent.
And just finally, all of the deans for all the colleges are just working through their academic planning, budgeting. You probably heard that our Dean of Humanities and Sciences stepped down a week or two ago. So that college is being led for the meantime by a triumvirate of associate deans. And about 50% of our budget in academic affairs are in that college. So it's kind of the gorilla in the room.
Wow.
So there's kind of a all hands on deck. I've been really pleased with Reed Humphrey's leadership and work and just I think empathy a lot of times working with people. So that's been his priority for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to answer any questions. Sorry I missed the discussion on the task force. We have our meeting tomorrow and looking forward to that. But if there are any just questions about UM in general or academic affairs, I'm happy to answer those.
Yeah, Nathan, this is Terry. I happened to be on the UM website the other day looking for something, and I was looking there in the background right now, you sitting in your office, and I don't see like a whole rack of different hats, because I saw that you are interim manager, director, dean, something of online education.
I am. It's a great way to spend evenings and weekends.
Oh, Nathan.
We're trying to finalize the job posting for Maricel's replacement. There's a great team there, and we're working to grow a couple of the programs through Wiley, our online program management company, that will really expand the marketing for those degrees and bring in a lot more students, and then we share the revenues with them. But yes, that's my other duties as assigned, Terry.
Wow. Well, thank you for your hard work and your commitment. My, oh my.
Any other questions?
Will you let us know in April, at our April meeting, then what summer enrollment is looking like?
Sure.
Yeah. Will you know by then?
We'll know a lot more. So registration was pushed back a few weeks. So we're behind right now, but we're probably behind partly just because many people register for the summer and the fall at the same time.
Yeah.
So one challenge we have is we provided a little bit of a discount last summer for many students trying to boost enrollment during COVID. And so we're not doing that this year, I don't think as much. So I think last year's numbers were slightly inflated, just they were improved based on that discount. These people had an incentive to sign up. So I don't think we have that incentive this summer. So it's harder to keep growing year to year when the overall UM enrollment is going the other direction. We just have a smaller pool to recruit from for the summer enrollment.
Okay.
I think, there are signs that employees are all going to have the chance to be vaccinated in April. So there shouldn't be the concerns. I think we'll have a lot more face-to-face classes, which is a great time to, be in Missoula, taking classes and working hard, playing hard.
All right. Nathan, Kent Barbian, who is a public person, has sent everybody a question about it. Are you able to conceptualize and share with us what the commitment of the Mountain campus is to the Bitterroot College? And really, I think to some degree that is the work of the task force to articulate kind of that understanding. But I think barring that, are you comfortable answering his question essentially?
Yeah, well, I think I shared with the task force last month, everything I've heard Seth, President Bodner say, and Reed Humphrey say, supports the continued collaboration and support of Bitterroot College. Obviously we're all waiting to see kind of what happens with the legislature, but regardless of that vote, whether it's positive or negative or however it turns out, has a continued interest and commitment in providing education in the Bitterroot. So I think the work of the task force is to flesh out kind of where we are and the challenges, things that need to be enhanced in financial support or organizational support or other ways. So I think my understanding is that those lists that we've developed the last couple of months will be used as a blueprint for conversation with how do we address these items to provide more of that support for the institution. So I'm looking forward to the conversation tomorrow.
Much better said than I characterized it. Much more articulate. Thank you. Okay, then I think we're at the point with regard to our agenda that we would take public questions and or comments on the specific Nathan's specific update at this point. So our public attending questions for Nathan and the BC, we'll take those at this point. And Kent, go ahead.
This is Wendy Fons again. So a question with regards to financial support, both of the Bitterroot College, but also of the main campus and affiliates is, and then maybe it's more a statement than question. What I have seen and heard from both financial aid advisors and foundations across the state is the fact that there are a lot of scholarships that are not being picked up. And one of the things that happens when that occurs is the fact that then the drain on sort of the traditional financial aid becomes harder. So if a student doesn't get an outside scholarship, they reach internally if they know that's the direction to go. And I just wanted to know if the is, or the Bitterroot College is doing anything specific to help address that. And I have seen that across, locally. I met with a foundation yesterday who now has increased their scholarships to 5 over the last 8 years. And the description they gave me of the number of applications was that it used to be a foot high, and now they barely have enough to fill the 5 scholarships. On national level, I mean, they're just not being picked up. And we can do, Valley Oak does promote this, and we have conversations with students all the time, come on, apply, etc. But I guess the question is, how can we work together as a team to get more of that information out to students? Because I think parents still assume the scholarships aren't available. And of course, the more of that private funding that's picked up, the more operational funding the universities and the Bitterroot College have to work with.
Mhm.
Thanks for those comments, Wendy. I think it is concerning financially that the number of FAFSA applications or just students completing their FAFSAs are down significantly with COVID. That's was brought up by our admissions, and that's true across the country. You know, obviously related to scholarships is just how students are covering their finances. It is positive to see that the number of applications to UM are up nearly 40% this year. Part of that's due to some students being in common applications where there's a lower bar to, you know, apply across multiple institutions. So there'll be a huge focus on getting applications to the yield stage. But I think your point's a really good one, Wendy, and I appreciate your outreach to Mary Creta. There's a new person named Jenny Petty, who's the new VP for marketing, and she and Mary are kind of a team in working on marketing and recruitment of new students. So I think from a UM perspective, those would be the appropriate partners for that. And there may be, you know, from Bitterroot Colleges, I'll let Tori or others respond.
Well, and let me just add one other thing that brought up. You know, we have organizations in the Bitterroot Valley like PEO International that are focused specifically on women, or the Seroptimists, and those are organizations throughout the United States. And sometimes students are very looking at moving to Montana and getting into that conversation, but an $11,000 bill for summer programming is just like, whoa, can't even handle that. But at the same time, if we can cover that by addressing the FAFSA, by addressing PEO, and then bringing in Seroptimists, I mean, there are 3 gains right there that frankly are not, they're not that challenging to put together, but once put together, they significantly benefit the student, who then goes and shares with their neighbors in the community, oh, I'm attending a school in Montana. And so you get this kind of ripple effect that I think can happen pretty successfully.
Wendy, did you have an idea about how to increase that application process, or?
You know, not one that is blanketed. I mean, in terms of, I think each, whether it's the Bitterroot College or the UM, or when we're dealing with Dawson Community College, they all tend to be different. I think that's one of the challenges in Montana, is that we've got very unique participants, and somehow bringing that forward. I mean, if we had $3 million, one of the things we'd probably do is just start broadcasting to all the high school counselors, to all the teachers in the school, that something as simple as dual enrollment, you can take 5,000 classes free outside of the high school building. Just that alone would build awareness, but it's got to be said many, many times. Or PEO or Seroptimists. I mean, our Seroptimists, and Sue knows this, our Seroptimists in Ravalli County is phenomenal in terms of what it provides, you know, and just getting that word out more. And I think it has to come from many different platforms. I mean, we can say it, Steve Coop can say it, the Bitterroot College can say it, but it really takes all of us saying it again and again and again, I think, before students grab on to that. It would be nice if they grabbed onto it the first time you told them. It just doesn't. At least that's from our perspective.
So getting it, Michelle, getting it in the paper clearly throughout the community, having it on social media, you know, those kinds of things, strategies, really need to be not beefed up, but just consistently fed.
There's just, you're undoing so many years of mantra of parents and, managers and directors thinking this is the only way to get scholarships. These are the only funds that are available. You have to have a 4.0. You have to be low. I mean, there's just that mantra and you have to undo it. But it just takes, at least from our perspective, it takes multiple conversations on that topic. It does not work from our perspective, it doesn't work well with just one voice making it once or one voice even making it 10 times. It has to take multiple voices being consistent in that conversation.
Yeah. Sue, do you have any updates on Sir Optimus and how? Yeah. Yes, you do, right?
Yes, I do. One of the things that we have found, and it's very discouraging, we send stuff out to counselors, we send stuff out as many places as we can think. Michelle has put articles in the paper, and yet we're finding that a lot of our best success is just absolutely word of mouth by saying, hey, I know you qualify, go apply. And then they apply. But other than just short of almost filling the reports out for them themselves, we have a lot of trouble getting, we've got, I don't know how many people who have applied. We're gonna start meeting here shortly, very, very shortly, to decide who the winners are, but for Hamilton.
So are you feeling like a barrier is that people don't look at themselves as being eligible?
Yes, in a way. And see, we don't look at grade points. We don't look at, college success. We look at mostly financial need. And that they're enrolled and that they have a plan with what to do with their lives when they're through schooling. And how we can help them get there.
Yeah. Okay.
I just wanted, this is Kent. I was wondering if I could make a comment. It's addressed more to Nathan, if that's possible.
Yes.
Okay. I guess my questions on that Bitterroot College is, what is the position of the University of Montana in releasing or allowing the Bitterroot College to be its own entity? Does U of M want Bitterroot College to be its own entity, or does U of M still want to have control via Missoula College of the Bitterroot College? And then I have one other follow-up question as well, unrelated.
Thanks, Kent. So the answer to that question is that UM's leadership have been supportive of the process. They have not come down saying we're for or against this in terms of the direction of Bitterroot College. So they support the process of having the discussion and the vote and exploration of Bitterroot College becoming its own entity. So
thank you. My other question, you had talked about some of the Native American and the diversity community. I wonder, can you comment on how much college expenses are covered for the Native American community? In other words, are they covered in full? Do you know, do they still apply for scholarships? Are they given funds? I wonder if you can comment on that. Thank you.
Yeah. So Native American students do have access to certain scholarships or waivers that are helpful. That's not covered in full. And over the years that I've been here at UM, I think particular attention has been placed on providing stronger financial aid support and kind of guidance and counseling for Native American students so that that process is as smooth and streamlined as possible.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions regarding Nathan's update and the subsequent conversation? Yes, Jennifer.
Yeah, real quick, you had mentioned that the UM is planning summer right now. Does that mean that the courses are still being planned, or is that the courses have been set and that scheduling and covering those courses is still being planned.
Yeah, no, the courses have largely been set, 90-some% or 95% or more. There will probably still be a little bit of wiggle on those. We watch enrollments and make sure that there are sufficient students in the classes, and sometimes classes need to be canceled, but they were largely set, the last few weeks, few months, and now students are populating those.
Thank you. I just had students asking me yesterday about that.
Yep. Thanks for your question, Jennifer.
Any other questions from anyone for Nathan? All right, seeing none, Nathan, it's always great to see you.
Thank you.
And I do have a request of Tori and Nathan, if you could stay on the Zoom call after this meeting. I have a technical IT question about the box. So if we could chat quickly about that when we're done, that'd help me. Okay, moving on to graduation. I was really, really glad to hear that the college is planning an in-person, socially responsible graduation ceremony. I think some of you remember that last spring, the college put together a graduation ceremony for individual students in the parking lot. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful setting, and families got a lot of individual attention, which was great. But I think a really important aspect for our students is that they have the opportunity to congratulate each other. And that was certainly, it had to be missing last year. So the plan this year is that April 30th, we will have a ceremony on the daily grounds. It will be outside. Do everything we can to hope that the weather is great. But I think that it just will really feel really just so good to our graduates. And to me, that's what is the most important, that we can publicly congratulate and recognize them, and that they can spend time with each other and congratulate each other and make commitments to stay connected in the future. So as such, the council members are all, of course, invited and asked to attend, depending on your COVID comfort levels with that process. And we will need council member support in doing some activities during that ceremony. In addition to that, public that's attending this meeting are also welcome to attend. I don't know, Tori, if we know a time yet, time of day.
I think the ceremony starts at 4:30.
Okay, and so the council members are expected to be there around 4, correct? Okay, correct. Great. All right, so I'm glad to hear we're doing that. Are there any questions from council members, any questions about that day and time and location?
I think I might have already asked, but I'm graduating, but can I still help you?
Yes, of course, of course.
Okay, just wanted to
I sent out that email for everyone, and India responded, well, I'm graduating, so. Yes, I think just being present early at 4-ish and just trying to organize folks would be really helpful. So we are letting Jamie Standard know. She's facilitating the ceremony itself, right, Tori? So you can call and or email Jamie any questions. I have been letting her know when you all respond to me about who's able to attend and help. I've been letting her know. So just show up at 4 o'clock and be ready for a great recognition process. Tori, any other details?
Is it going to be at out at the mansion, or is it going to be at Bitterroot College? Where's?
Sorry, it's going to be at the mansion. Is it going to be in the tent, Tori?
Yeah, we have scheduled to be in the outside tent that's on the grounds again. If the weather is just horrid, we have a backup plan to be here at the college, but hopefully it will be fine.
Good.
And they do have a new tent.
Oh, how is it different?
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I did talk with Darlene and they were excited. They have a new tent.
Well, good. All right.
So it won't be leaking.
All right. I certainly hope the weather is good enough. The weather, if it's good enough to be there, it's just an ideal setting. It's so beautiful. So great. All right. Thank you. All right. Any public comment on graduation, public comment and or questions on graduation ceremony? Hearing none, we're going to move on to announcements and any documents received for the council.
We're good on that. Nothing to report.
Okay. You know, this is the time also to announce, like, hey, you know, I just got a scholarship to do a summer art initiative or so, you know, really good news like that. So anything fun, babies, marriages, great, you know, good stuff. It's also a time to share that good news.
Hi, Candy, it's Elida.
Yes.
So I'd already emailed you and Tori and let you know that my 3-year term on the Bitterroot College Advisory Council is up in June. And on the heels of getting my certification in infection control, I have been asked to be president-elect for the state APIC Association, which is the Association of Professionals in Infection Control and Epidemiology. Quite a mouthful. So because of that expected commitment with the Montana APIC and some potential involvement with some national initiatives and projects, I am, with regret, going to step down from the Bitterroot College Advisory Council. And I have identified a few individuals here at the hospital that I think would be, I believe, good candidates for the advisory council to consider as a replacement for me.
Elida, we cannot say enough about the positive contribution you have made to the council. It has been phenomenal. And when you did the COVID background conversation a couple meetings ago, I just shared with everyone I know how informative and optimistic your report was. So we really have appreciated your participation. And I really thank you for seeking people out from the hospital, because I think that relationship between the BC and the hospital is really a fundamental relationship to our community. I had to have some blood taken 2 weeks ago at the hospital, and the phlebotomist she was magical. And I said, where did you get your training? And she said to me, do you know the Bitterroot College? And I said, yes, I do. And her technique and her interaction with me as a patient in the hospital was just stellar. So it's a compliment to the hospital, and it's a compliment to the BC for those relationships. So Elida, thank you for seeking someone from the college to continue with us. And what we will do is, this is a heads up, we need 2 people from the council in April to, we will publish, you know, that there is an opening on the council, and we need 2 volunteers from the council to review those applications and make recommendation for membership to the council. So please be thinking about that. And please, if you are interested in doing that, just email me and let me know. Yeah, I would be willing to do that. We need 2 people to do that. So thank you.
On another note, Candy, I just want to let everyone know, if you had not heard, the governor announced that the COVID-19 vaccine will be available for all Montanans effective April 1st.
Yes, yes, that was really, and down to 16 years of age, correct?
That's with the Pfizer vaccine. The Moderna and the Janssen or Johnson & Johnson vaccine are 18 and older.
Okay.
So Marcus Daly, as well as everyone else, there's multiple pharmacies and who have been tapped as vaccination sites. We will be scheduling multiple clinics. You just go to mdmh.org to sign up for the vaccinations offered by Marcus Daly, and then you have to contact the other sites for that as well. But certainly we are thrilled. We are thrilled with this. We have a lot of interest from people in the 1C categories and in just the general public. And so the good thing is according to the vaccine tracker, roughly 1/3 of Montanans have gotten at least dose number 1. So that's pretty good coverage as far as Montana is concerned.
Great. Thank you very much. Oh, that's wonderful. All right. Well, we heard Elida's announcement. So, and Elida, congratulations on your president-elect position. They couldn't have found a better person for that role. So congratulations. Okay, with that, any other announcements by anyone?
I'll let you know if I get a scholarship or an internship. I'm in the process of working for those right now, applying.
India, please do that, because you are ours and we have a long-term commitment to you. And this reminds me that you were going to share with us what a certificate in public history is.
Yes, so it's recent this semester. Professor Jabbour, I think, is the head of the program, Public History Certificate Program. And it's just, I think, 12 credits altogether, I'm almost sure. And I found out that the classes I happened to be taking already were aiming that direction. It was just, go get an internship and you'll have this public history certificate. So it's just exactly what it sounds like. Anywhere that history is done outside of a classroom, interfacing with the public. That could be museums, could be archives, it could be tours, it could be monuments. So I'm applying for several internships up in Missoula that have to do with sharing history with the public, and I'm really, really excited.
Oh, my husband and I had the good fortune to take a great trip to Peru about 5 years ago. And Peru has focused on exactly that, college level certification in history, very specifically looking at tourism and being effective, meaningful, historically accurate tourist guides. And we learned so much. It was such a great method for getting information out globally to the world about the history of Peru. It's fascinating. So that is really, I would think that certificate also would invite more people to become invested in history as a college course. So
yeah, the history department, as I've been exposed to it, is just vibrant and supportive, exciting. Everyone's been very, very nice and helpful so far. And I'm also excited about it because in the age of information, as well as the age of misinformation, I love the idea of, hey, let's share these, our involved research and sourced material, share that with the public. So yeah, exciting. And the other news is Rosie and I moved in together, so she's in the other room.
Oh, good. That's great.
Yeah, that's it for my information. Thanks for listening to me.
India, if finding an internship in Missoula doesn't necessarily work, don't forget about Daily Mansion.
Mhm.
You're right. I could probably let them know if I could work that through. You know, there's work available. How do I get credit for this? So thank you for putting that in my head. I was thinking about that. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, excellent. All right. Moving on then to our last agenda item, new business suggestions, motions. Do we have from the council members any suggestions, ideas, motions? Hearing none. From our public, do we have suggestions, motions, etc.? All right, hearing none. Do I have a motion for adjournment? Sue, I love it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Elida, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, thank you